Welcome to NCSS Here for You. For over 50 years, Northwestern Counseling and Support Services has been providing access to quality psychosocial services to the residents of Franklin and Grand Isle counties. Over the years, as the needs of the community have changed, so too have the programs and services that we make available to assist children, adolescents, adults, families, and seniors. We take our role in the community seriously, and we strive to provide the highest quality services. According to Erik Erikson, a noted developmental psychologist, every person must pass through a series of 8 interrelated stages over the entire life cycle. NCSS provides a continuum of services to meet the needs of individuals who at any point seek assistance. NCSS's purpose is creating a stronger community, one person at a time. Now, let's get to today's show. I'm Joe Halco, Director of Community Relations for Northwestern Counseling and Support Services, and welcome to another episode of NCSS Here for You. Each month on this program, we discuss a human services topic, and we do that with staff from one of our 3 direct services divisions. Our 3 service divisions are Behavioral Health Services, Children, Youth, and Family Services, and Developmental Services. And on occasion, we have guests from organizations that NCSS collaborates with throughout the year. This month's episode is titled NCSS's Learning Together Program. The Learning Together program provides services for pregnant or parenting youth between the ages of 13 to 22 in Franklin and Grand Isle counties. There are numerous services offered through the program with the goal of nurturing the knowledge, growth, and independence of all families. To discuss the Learning Together program in greater detail, I'm pleased to introduce this month's guests. They are Heather Getty, Learning Together Program Case Manager, and Jennifer Chittick, Learning Together Case Manager. I want to welcome both of you to the program this month.
Thank you. Thanks, Joe.
Well, let's start with what is the Learning Together program?
Well, we're a therapeutic program, Joe, and we work with pregnant and parenting adolescents, as you said. We're part of the Children, Youth, and Families Service Division of Northwestern Counseling and Support Services, and we're a part of the Parent-Child Center that's located at NCSS.
And who do you serve?
We serve youth who are either pregnant or parenting from the ages of 13 to 22, and this includes fathers as well as moms.
So the Learning Together program isn't only for moms, but for dads as well?
Yes. We welcome both parents. And this can be sometimes, although it's not always, include biological parents, non-biological parents. So that if you're in a relationship and you're finding yourself, in a parent role, you are eligible, I'm sorry, for services.
Yeah.
Now, you mentioned the point very distinctly about it's primarily moms who you're serving as opposed to the dads or males. However, my understanding is that you really do want to engage more males in the program. Are there certain ways that you've tried to foster that or to engage them in the program itself?
Well, it's been difficult to get dads. Usually we'll see a father come along with the mom, and it's kind of a nice icebreaker into the group so that they can see it's not just providing the services for the moms, that it's all inclusive of the parenting role.
We also revamped our brochure, our pamphlet that we hand out to the public. It used to have just moms and children on it, and now it also includes pictures that have a father in the picture as well, because we wanted to be more inclusive of dads, and we have a bulletin board in our classroom that actually is dedicated to fathers.
Yeah. Promoting fatherhood.
And what are some of the typical services that are offered through the Learning Together program?
Oh, so we offer an assortment of therapeutic services from parenting groups to employment to self-care, to workshops on healthy relationships, to nutrition, to self-expression through art. Like, we're kind of a one-stop shopping. We kind of cater to everybody. We also work with Vermont Food Bank and Franklin County Humane Society, where our participants volunteer and they gain work experience along with community service hours which works towards their diploma. I've lost my train.
No, you've covered most of it, I think.
Now, even though you offer a whole array of services in the program, I take it that by virtue of what you do, though, that every single individual plan is separate. So in other words, you
Yes.
might have 6 or 7 different individuals in the program, but each and every one of those is geared specifically to them and their needs. So they probably all look a lot different, I would guess?
Yes. I mean, they'll have some similarities and some
Sure.
overlaps, especially when it comes to group programming that we provide, but there's always one-on-one and individual services.
And what about the affiliation that you have with the Vermont Adult Learning?
Well, our classroom is actually located at Vermont Adult Learning. We have a classroom and an office located there, and we work closely with Vermont Adult Learning to provide academic supports for any of our participants who are working with them to get a high school diploma. We also work with a lot of the local area schools. If our participants choose to stay enrolled in their local school, they can get their core academics from school, like their history, their English, their science, their math, but they can get some of their elective credits through us, like art, gym, and we also, as Jen said, the community service hours, which a lot of the area high schools now require as part of their graduation requirements.
And how long has this affiliation been in place with Vermont Adult Learning?
Jen and I have been with Learning Together for about 2 years, and I know that they were working with Vermont Adult Learning years
Prior to when you-
yes, before we had started. So it's been quite a while, I believe.
But it sounds like a real good affiliation between the two organizations, you know, to try to formulate a all-encompassing plan.
Yes, yes. And it's worked well because we're also there to help support the participants. If something comes up while they're in class, we're right in the same building. So they're able to access us for support if they need to.
And where are you located?
We're at 5 Lemna Drive, so right in the back of the Vermont Adult Learning Building, right next to CDO-EO.
Now, what does the average day of a Learning Together student look like?
Well, Learning Together participants are expected to be at program by 9 in the morning. We run program Monday through Thursday. That gives them a little bit of time to settle in, get some breakfast or a snack if they want to, use the bathroom before we start our morning group, which runs from 9:30 to 11:30. And then at 11:30 we break and we help them make lunch or snacks in the kitchen area. And we usually sit with them and have lunch either in the kitchen or in the classroom. Jen and I may do a little bit of paperwork and give them time to have a little bit of a break. They can also work on schoolwork during this time or a resume.
They
or
usually make appointments. You know, they use this time to, you know, for doctor's appointments, WIC appointments, if they can. Like, they're doing their errands, so it's not taking away from actual programming and group hours.
Yes, and then we come back to the classroom for 12:45. And we have our afternoon program, and it runs till 3. And then they go home to their lovely children and their families. So.
And what are some of the therapeutic activities that the program offers?
So, are you ready? We do a lot of different things. So we do a parenting group, which we co-facilitate with Prevent Child Abuse Vermont. We work closely with Voices Against Violence. We have their outreach coordinator comes in and will do workshops on healthy relationships and reproductive health and things like that. We work on self-care, we do meditation, breathing, physical fitness. We do a lot of self-portraits just to provide an inner reflection of where we're at right now. Our participants really like art projects, so at least the group that we have right now, so we really try, like you had said, to cater to what best fits the group, and so hands-on activities are key. We just learned how to knit, which was a lot of fun. We work closely with the UVM Extension Program, their Expanded Food Nutrition, FNAP.
Yes, Expanded Food Nutrition
Education Program.
Yeah.
And like I had mentioned earlier, Franklin County Humane Society.
And the Vermont Food Bank, we mentioned that too.
Yeah. So, yeah, it's all encompassing. There's a lot to it. We have fun. I was going to say.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I don't think I.
We also make sure if any particular participant has a specific need that arises or a crisis that arises, Jen or I, either individually or as a team, try to address it in the moment and try to get them hooked up with whatever referrals that we know of that may help them through it.
Right. So whether it's a community resource or hooking them up with a community partner or just a therapist, it depends on their individual needs.
Now, how do you assist participants who are looking for employment opportunities or stable housing? Either one of those two areas. I know that's two distinct areas, but maybe just take one at a time.
They kind of tie in a little bit together. So we run an employment group 2 days a week, Tuesdays and Thursday afternoons. We have a community member from Burlington, who volunteers his time to come and help us run the group. He used to be a city manager in Burlington. He helps us talk with the girls about resume writing cover letters. We do mock interview questions, proper attire, things like that to get them ready for their skills to go out and look for employment. We also talk about budgeting with them, and budgeting can play a significant role in finding stable housing because they really have to know what do they have coming in for funds and how much can they spend on housing costs versus food costs and so on and so forth. And we also help refer them to Community Action, Champlain Housing,
the Samaritan House.
And the Samaritan House if it's needed.
Mm-hmm.
And we also help them look through Craigslist ads, and we help them kind of decipher what one sounds like it's a reputable ad and what one may actually be a scam, so they're not, they're not taken in. Yeah.
And what are the benefits for young parents that attend the Learning Together programming?
So outside of what we outlined in the beginning around obtaining, if they have a high school completion goal that they're working towards or employment, outside of that, they're working on enhancing their parenting skills. They're enhancing their advocacy skills. They're able to identify healthy and unhealthy relationships. I feel like they're gaining the skills to be able to negotiate life stressors and crises that may come up. We work really closely around, mindfulness and breathing in the heat of the moment when, the world feels like it's collapsing. And so by essentially hand-holding from the beginning, and as they practice these skills and use them more and more, they become better at using them independently. And in the end, they have a strong sense of community. I love watching new participants come in who are really shy and reserved and taking the group in and not sure if this is where they want to be and feeling judged and put on the spot. And in the end, they're like a little family. This is, they're not in this alone, and they can identify with these other parents. They're going through some of the same struggles, whether it's parenting struggles of teething or colic or the fact that, they can't find housing. That's all relatable, and they learn to lean on each other, which is wonderful. And I love watching them give advice and sound advice. Have you tried, going over and asking Community Action if they can help you out with this? Go over and see if WIC will deliver, here instead of here, because they're in transition between, two places of residency. And they're so invested in the volunteer experiences that we have in place, and they look forward to it, that their ties to the community are stronger. So not only are they developing these healthy relationships with other families, but they're developing a sense of self within their community. And like I said, outside of gaining their education, I think that is the biggest thing that they get out of this.
And one of the things that I've seen as a benefit with our participants are the amount of confidence, self-confidence that they have after they've been with us is just tremendous. and it's really good to see. They start self-advocating where they don't need us as much to advocate for them, and they're able to do it for themselves and their families. So.
Would you say that's the biggest success that you see with most participants, or are there other areas as well that
I mean, academics is obviously a success. We've had a few of our participants who've not only graduated high school, but actually gone on to take some college courses, which has been wonderful. But I think the personal payoff, the increase in self-confidence, the sense of I can do this, I can advocate for myself, I can get my needs, my child's needs met, and I can do it in effective ways, in ways that are healthy for my family, and I think that really is, that's the biggest payoff.
And what, I realize every situation is different, but what would you say those who first come into the program feel that the biggest roadblocks have been in their life?
Transportation.
Yes. Transportation, childcare.
And a lack of employment. A lot of them would like to work, but unfortunately most of the jobs they found are asking for people who have experience. You can't get experience unless someone gives you an opportunity to get experience. So that's been really difficult for a lot of them. In the transportation, being that we're so rural.
Yeah, it's huge, isn't it?
Yeah, and even those of our participants who've accessed the public transportation that we have, the bus, which is a godsend for some of the participants, they've had to get up at 4 or 4:30 in the morning to get on the bus to come out to St. Albans, and then they've got like 2 hours to kill before program starts. And I mean, that it makes for a very, very long day.
I can imagine. And short of the transportation issue, and I do understand the whole employment thing, which is tough for, of course, many young people. Have you noticed, though, has there been any shift that's been more positive in that arena, or is it just as difficult today as perhaps it was 5 years ago for
I can't compare it to 5 years ago.
Well,
For 2 years, but I feel like not much has changed.
Actually, Ready to Go used to be able to help out a lot more than they're able to now. So it's actually, we've lost some of the assistance and support that we used to depend on, because their funding was cut, so they had to cut how many rides they were able to give and how many services they're able to provide. So that's been difficult.
And on average, throughout the course of the year, how many participants are in the program? Does it vary dramatically, or is it?
Well, it does. We have capacity for up to 12, and we have been full within the last 2 years. But I think it runs between 4 and 6 core regular attendees that come pretty regularly. And that seems to be our average of regular attendees. We also try very hard to meet specific needs. So say we have someone who can't do all 4 days. They want to do regular school on a Monday and a Wednesday, and they want to do learning together on Tuesday and Thursday. We're able to be flexible enough to meet them where they're at and allow them to just come 2 days a week. If that's what they can, then that's what they can. And we figure any time spent with us is time well spent, and they're getting something out of it.
Sure. Now, how does someone who's interested become enrolled in the program? What do they need to do?
Well, we get referrals from a lot of different places. We get referrals from Reach Up and Vermont Adult Learning. We've gotten referrals from
Local schools,
the health department. And we've also gotten self-referrals. So Jen and I have put out some flyers and business cards to try and get word out there that we're a program who has some openings and available slots. And sometimes someone will pick up a brochure or a business card and give us a call, and sometimes they'll hear from past participants and give us a call. Once they call us, we set up a time for them to come and meet with us. We talk to them about what we offer, what our program looks like, a lot of what we just talked about here. And if they say, yeah, I definitely am interested, we fill out all the paperwork with them, and we set up an appointment for them to have an assessment with one of our clinicians at NCSS. And that's so that the clinician can really get a sense of what are the needs of this particular participant, talking about that individual plan that we put together. Once they've had that assessment done, we sit down with them and we set out identifying goals. What are your personal goals? What do you want to get out of attending Learning Together? And we put together a plan with them, and then we start working with them towards attaining those goals.
Mm-hmm.
And at least progressing towards those goals. If they're, if we're not able to finish them all in a year, then we'll work on them the following year.
Mm-hmm. So you're flexible from a standpoint that somebody may not hit certain targets, but that doesn't mean
Right.
that they're defeated. They just move it out a little and
Yeah.
and try to achieve it in another 6 months or whatever the case may
Right.
be.
We really feel like if you're working on it, you're working on it. And any progress is good progress. So.
Now let's get back to the dads, because I know that you mentioned earlier that you really would like to see more of them engaged in the programming. And what would you like to say to those who might be on the fence about, I'm not so sure that I really want to do this or not, as to why they should be engaged in this process?
I think it's really important for the fathers to know we value their role in their child's life. And we don't want to just work with moms. Moms are a big part of children's lives, but fathers are also a really big part. And I think that they would get a lot out of coming to the program. And not only will they get they get a little bit of the viewpoint of the moms from other moms that maybe aren't necessarily their partner.
Right, but then they can also offer their viewpoints
Yes.
to the moms in the group.
Which
And
is really important.
it is.
Now, would you say that from the participants who have been through the program in the past that there's been a lot of friendships built after they leave the program,
Yes.
that perhaps, especially those that might have been shy or what have you, that now maybe they've got a more of a built-in
Support network.
support network?
Yes,
Yes.
definitely. And we often have
Pop-ins.
participants who are no longer enrolled with us who will stop by the office to say hello, let us know how they're doing, tell us about a new job they got, tell us about a new apartment they got.
They'll bring the kids in
Milestones.
for an update. Yeah.
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 So do you have any favorite success stories that you've seen in your 2 years that just bring a smile to your face? I mean, without getting too specific,
Right.
but just, in general terms, that shows that somebody who walks in initially is very unsure of themselves, and you look at it 2 years later, or maybe it's a year and a half later, that what a difference the program has made in their lives and the lives of their family.
Yeah.
Trying to think. I mean, I go right back to we've had 2 moms that have come in, one who's, a little more shy and apprehensive and more of a wallflower and takes things in. And then, during groups every now and then, she would come out with a fantastic one-liner or this colorful story, and, you're just like, wow, where'd that come from? And to see her kind of blossom, and she didn't show much, but she did. And then she moved on to college courses.
Yes.
And she's maintaining in those college courses. And she's come back to share, her grades and where she's at. And
she's one of those that built some really strong connections while she was at Learning Together. She didn't have a very wide circle of friends.
Yep.
And she's got some really great friendships after coming in. Another one of the young women that I think of is a mom who she came across as a little rough around the edges when she first came in, and she also took some college courses. She now is working 2 or 3 jobs, has her own apartment, has her own vehicle, and is doing really well, and still pops in from time to time to say hello to us and call us and say, can I use you as a reference because I'm going to apply for a new job. She's been great. She's done really well.
Is there anything else that you'd like to express about the program that maybe we haven't touched on so far during the show, that maybe we've missed?
I should probably give our contact information
That
in
would
case
be
somebody's
ideal.
interested in
Be
contacting us. They can contact us at NCSS's main number, the 524-6554, or they can contact Jen or I directly. My phone number is 393-0956, and Jen's is 370-4307.
Let's go through those one more time.
Yep.
The main number and then each of yours in case
Yep.
somebody's
The main
writing.
number is 304-6554. My number, my name is Heather, is 393-0956, and Jen's number is 370-4307. And we do have some available slots open right now. So.
And the other thing is, this is a 12-month-a-year program. I think that's something we haven't touched on, but I think it's important because when you talk about things like learning together and the schoolwork and what have you, some people might think that
it's a school calendar.
It's predicated on a school calendar versus the 12-month-a-year calendar.
Nope. We are, outside of 2 weeks a year, what we take for in-service, just so we can put our curriculums together and do some networking, we run programming. So unless it's a state holiday, if your bank's closed, chances are we're closed. But right straight through the summer, 4 days a week from 9 to 3. And we usually have open enrollment, so it's constantly going. Like Heather said, we were full this time last year. We're not currently full. We usually aren't. So we're open to new referrals. We're, especially meeting new people, and if we happen to be full, we're, willing to take on the wait list and to work with the, potential participants as need be. We also are case managers, so we do provide that case management service as well. So in the interim, if the classroom happens to be full,
we've done visits at homes, we've met people out in the community.
So there isn't any reason why we wouldn't be able to at least start the process, doing that piece, the home visit.
And we did forget to mention one other pretty important component. We do field trips sometimes too. So we've done hiking, we've gone to the Echo Museum. So we're not all about just work. We're really a lot about play, and a lot of our play is our work.
It is.
And it sounds like, the whole gamut, life skills, everything that you're trying to teach.
Yeah.
Okay, well, believe it or not, our time is up. I know it went rather quickly. And I want to thank my special guests, Heather Getty and Jennifer Chittick, for being on the show today and sharing their insights on the Learning Together program, nurturing in knowledge, growth, and independence for families. I also want to thank you, the viewer, for spending time with us again this month. You can learn more about NCSS and all of our programs and services by logging on to ncssinc.org. I'm Joe Halco, and I'll be back again next month with another episode of NCSS Here for You. This has been another episode of NCSS Here for You. We hope that you found today's discussion informative and educational. For over 50 years, Northwestern Counseling and Support Services has been providing access to quality psychosocial services to the residents of Franklin and Grand Isle counties. Over the years, as the needs of the community have changed, so too have the programs and services that we make available to assist children, adolescents, adults, families, and seniors. Thanks once again for tuning in this month. NCSS's purpose remains creating a stronger community, one person at a time.